Good morning. Welcome to Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. My name's Lorene. I got a sneeze. Well, that was an adventure. Some sneezes are just a sneeze, and some sneezes require a shower and a lie down afterwards. So, okay, so moving on. We're here to talk about books, and I have a couple I'd like to share with you today. The first one is a fairly quick read. It's Everything is About Tuberculosis by John Green, and the history and persistence of our deadliest infection. John Green has also written the Anthropocene Reviewed, which I liked. I mean, it was very much the same from beginning to end. He would take two or sometimes three unrelated items, like let's say molasses and shoelaces. I'm making that up. And then there would be some kind of research that he's done, and he would bring together the interesting intersections and just have a very interesting thought experiment around those items. And I, excuse me, I liked that, but there were there were just too many chapters for me. I'm gonna sneeze again. Oh. I went under the couch because from where I'm sitting right here, I could see the cat toy. It's a little brown mouse that squeaks. And she is so lazy that she will not go under the couch to retrieve the toy. So I went under to get the toy, and in so doing discovered about 73,000 pounds of dust bunnies, which I swept yesterday because we have a wood stove, and so, you know, the ash dust and everything. So I swept through. I swear to God, I went under that couch and swept. Anyways, that's why I've got the sneezies now. So this is all because of Missy and her toy. Back to the point. John and the Anthropocene, I liked it, but I was finished with the book before it was over, and passed it along, and lots of people have enjoyed it, and I think it's a solid book. And one thing that I realized reading that book is that he is an immaculate researcher, and probably over obsessed with his research. He goes into it. You don't see that on the page, but you could have a conversation with him and you could ask him about those shoelaces, and he would know everything there is to know about shoelaces. He's very thorough. And he has also written a number of fiction books for young adults. Looking for Alaska, The Fault in Our Stars, Turtles All the Way Down, and I thought there was another, but a lot of his books have received some hassles and are banned in the States, and a couple of them have been turned into movies, and so he's quite an exciting author in terms of he really knows. Yeah. I don't think he on purpose is trying to get under the skin of the powers that be, but he's very effective at it. So not too long ago, while he was writing this book, there was... Okay, so let's talk about the book, and hopefully I remember to come back to this point. So Everything is Tuberculosis, and he talks about how the disease arose. It's been with us since we've been around, basically. And there's some suggestion that it might predate us as a species. It may well have been in, I'm going to say seals, but I don't know why. I'm just going with what's in my brain. So we may have contacted it from eating seal meat. And one of the ways of spreading it in the past was through unpasteurized cow milk. And well, of course, contact. It moves particles through the air, and so it's a respiratory disease. So what the difference between tuberculosis and other respiratory diseases is that tuberculosis has got this kind of waxy outer coating on its cells, and so that protects the tuberculosis pathogen, but it also creates an environment that's very tight and constrained. So it is not a fast-growing disease or cell. And eventually disease. And so there are people who have tuberculosis and they never express any kind of disease. There's other people's, for whatever reason, quite often things attached to poor environment with, being too cold or being too hot, being underfed, malnutrition, other problems, diabetes or something like that, that will make a better environment for tuberculosis to latch onto. It likes a weak body. And so the healthier you are and the more space you have around you from other people, the less likely it is for you to express this particular disease. However, in the 1800s, this was the disease of the rich, if you like. There's a lot of poets and playwrights and politicians and so on who caught the disease. And did he make a case as to why? Oh, I don't think he really made a case as to why the rich were getting it. But it wasn't a problem. The rich, for some bizarre reason, thought this was just the most romantic way to go. It's not. It's a terrible way to go. It's just like... it's a horrible thing to have happening to your lungs. So he talks about where the disease has been most often found in terms of geography and populations and economic sectors and so forth. He's also talked an awful lot about the cures or the lack of them and the systems that can be used to find out if you have tuberculosis. So in the let's just say 1850s and forwards, we have got the means to deal with tuberculosis. And inoculation is one, and we have the drugs that will cure it. We also have tests now that it's just a little scratch test. And if you get the scratch test and it swells, then it shows that it's somewhere in your system. And but it doesn't tell, that scratch test doesn't tell how deeply infected you are. But then the research after the last 40 years or so has shown that the sooner you get the treatments, then, exponentially your success rate grows. Now, one of the reasons John came into this topic is he and his brother Hank and a whole slew of other people have been working in Sierra Leone for the maternity hospital there. And I'm not exactly sure how John came to become committed to Sierra Leone, but Project for Awesome that they have done in the past, which is a fundraising system through the internet, has raised funds, and they've used it towards the development of maternity care in Sierra Leone. And Sierra Leone is connected to the States and to Canada with having, I don't know how much, what's that word? You know the guy Snidely Whiplash from the cartoons? I don't know how much of that kind of thinking was going about, let's get these Africans, they weren't considered African Americans or African Canadians at that point. It was, let's get these black people home. Except home wasn't home. Home was Sierra Leone, where there was some land. And so that's just a whole piece of history for both of our countries. And what ended up happening is that there was this incredible influx of people of color who were from all different parts of Africa, Jamaica, First Nations people as well. Like anybody who the government wasn't keen on, if they want to go, let's get them there, but with no support. So it has been a really unfortunately developed country, and was doing okay, then colonialism, then, it's quite a history for that country in and of itself. Consequently, with civil war and so forth, the infrastructure around Medicare is pitiful and like non-existent. And we've heard these kinds of stories before where people are having to get on their bike and ride for 50 miles before they can get to the nearest clinic and only hope that someone's there to look after them. So All this is to say that John and his team have been working towards improving the situation there. And while he was working with the maternity hospital people, he encountered a different hospital because they were going to see, what was transpiring in the country, and came across the tuberculosis hospital, and in so doing met Harry. Better make sure it's Harry and not Henry. Oh, I'm terrible with that kind of thing. Henry Ryder, and he was a young tuberculosis patient at that time. He looked like a child, but he was a 17-year-old because the whole disease can affect bone growth. And you may have even heard of tuberculosis that is in the bones. And there's also a meningitis type of tuberculosis, which is, I believe, fatal. So he meets Henry, and this is the strength of John Green's writing, is that he attaches his civil rights, civil justice, social justice things, whatever he's writing about, he attaches it to people, he attaches it to story. So we get to hear Henry's story, his mom's, his brothers, sisters, dad, and the nurses around them, the doctors, but John just always connects the story in some fashion to human beings, so that we have got this incredible opening to empathy. And so we get the story of the disease and its history and its cures and its lack thereof, and we also get the stories of people through history. So he's, as I say, his research is just immaculate, and it goes to so many different threads, and he's just got this incredible skill of bringing them all together and just creating this lovely weaving of community and I guess compassion, empathy, and fundamentally, love for one another. Why is this important? And I think this is a question that John is searching for. Why write this book? Why not syphilis? But for John, one of the things that irks him beyond belief is so much tragedy has been at the hands of corporations and pharmaceuticals and government decisions and inaction and so forth. So he brings that home too, which is also not appreciated by a lot of people. But so coming back to that earlier story, there was a moment where the drug company that can be used to cure early detected tuberculosis upped the price from, I don't know where it was, but to $1,500 a dose. Well, you need multiple doses, and you need them over multiple weeks. So not only for the people in Sierra Leone, but for the whole friggin' world of tuberculosis patients, all of a sudden, the Medicare that you need is not there. They're killing all these people. So through the internet, John, raised a ruckus. And they managed to get this drug brought down from $1,500 to $150. So still a crazy price, because I appreciate that these are companies that do research and so on. But if you found a drug that's going to save people's lives, should that cost money? Maybe. I don't know. Isn't that an interesting question? Is this a right? And is this something that, and that's not part of the book. That's me going off. I really liked this book. I really felt that I was being treated like an equal in the discussion. And it gives me a lot of things to think about. This book is actually on our, the Oldies book club. We're having to read this for February, I think for March. I'm pretty sure this is for March. And it's going to be interesting to see how it manifests as a book club book, because we're used to talking about fiction and plot and character and so on. So as nonfiction and medical and so on, none of us are medical people. So it'll be interesting to see how this brings itself to a book club discussion, which I may bring back and talk to you. The next book, which is also a book club book for Jolene Reads Across Canada, Reading Across Canada, The Tiger and the Cosmonaut, and it is written by Eddy Tan. This is not their first book, but yes, because he won things for short stories, found in the book, or the journal, I guess, Joyland and Yolk, Y-O-L-K. Yeah, this has been a finalist for the Edmund White Award. I keep meaning to research that. I forget what that's about. And the Relit Best Novel Award. And the other two titles are After Elias, and The Rebellious Tide. So he's a really strong author. And did I like this book? Not at first. I continued to read it because it was for book club, and also, I wasn't being harmed in the reading of this book. But within the first 20 pages, I said to Steve, I think I know where this is going to go. And did it go where I thought it was going to go? Pretty much. So I had to join in to see how he was going to do what I expected him to do. And early on, there's a twist ending, which I don't think he foreshadowed in any kind of a way. I just had a suspicion. So the ending for me wasn't as surprising as it might be for other readers. Because I'm smarter than you? No, I just have a suspicious mind. And I also really enjoy the thinking of a criminal. I don't read true crime. I hardly ever read crime of any kind. But I like the thinking of the wicked person. And so the author is being a little bit of a wicked person in his plot. We have got Casper. Casper had a twin named Sam. And when the boys were 9 years old, there was in their community, which was sort of north of Vancouver, around Powell River in that area, the small community had an annual event that took place after Halloween, but it was kind of Halloween-ish because there was a local legend about the Whistler. And there was a Whistler rock, and at a certain point of year, there seemed to be whistling in the forest. And so early settlers thought, it's got to be something supernatural. And they created this event to keep the supernatural at bay. So over time, it's changed, it's morphed, but it's still got its intention, which is to keep the boogeyman at bay. I don't know how much people actually still believe that, but it was the underpinning. So when the boys are 9 years old, the parents decide that they're going to host a party. Now the family is of Chinese descent, and they are, they're not the only Chinese family in this area, but they are very few in number. So it's not their go-to way of community development or integration. But mom decides, let's just do this. Let's be like the others. Let's host a party for a change. And so they host this party. And one boy gets up, Casper gets dressed up as, no, wrong. Casper gets dressed up as the Cosmonaut, which is a Russian astronaut. And he's actually fascinated by the Russian cosmonaut that first went up, and during that period in the 70s, that he ended up being stuck on his space station for 6 months while nobody was coming to get him. So he's that character at nine years old. The other brother loves the nature, loves the wilderness, and so he's dressed up as a tiger. So that's how we come by our title. And this party is going on, and Sam, the tiger, disappears into the woods and is never found. His body is never found. A couple days later, or maybe even within 24 hours, the boys had a mutual friend named Ivan. Ivan goes missing. Ivan is the son of the police chief, and everything's done to try and find Ivan. Is anybody looking for Sam? No. Is it because he's Chinese? It's because the powers that be know something that they don't want to get out? What's going on? And so years later, there's a message to Casper, your dad's gone missing. He's gone into the woods. And so he and his sister fly from California and Vancouver. They get home to that Powell River area. And Mom has not called the police, because I guess it's not the first time he's disappeared, but it's the first time she's panicked because he hasn't come back this time. So all the Casper, his sister Nadia, and their brother, who's further afield, all show back up to find out what's going on with Dad, and just like let's figure out, Mom and Dad are at this new stage, and do we need to make changes, and that kind of gathering of the family in the site of crisis. Why is Dad wandering? Does he have dementia, or is he trying to resolve Sam's disappearance? Because he actually goes missing on the same night, like this Whistler event. So, or close to it. It's close to it. And then things start to come to a head when this Whistler event happens again in the year. But the family's not participating. They're at home. There's been other things happening. Someone gets, another Chinese descent person is harmed. There's connection with the childhood friend Ivan. Ivan is now the chief of police. His dad has died. He's like a hero. It's just like all this emotion. And in the midst of, not in the midst, but as we start this up, Casper has a partner, Anthony. Casper can't believe that anybody would love him. He's unable to accept that he's lovable. And so Anthony and he have this dynamic that's just pinging against each other. And has Casper done the worst possible thing and sent Anthony away? Has Anthony abandoned him? Because Anthony goes home. Is this just, I'm going to leave you because you need to get your shit together? Or is this, so all that's going on. So it's a well-told story. I was expecting pretty much everything I told you except the dad disappearing. They tell you that in the blurb, so that I'm not spoiling it for you. But so Dad's journey into the woods, that part I wasn't expecting, like the reasons behind it and so forth. Yeah, it's very well told. I was not deeply connected emotionally. There are some things in it that have happened in other books, and so that surprise factor for me was missing. However, I really got a sense of the setting. I really got a sense of the mom and her trying to protect her family the way extremely private people do their protecting, which is to avoid or to obfuscate or sometimes to even outright lie if they think it will save the other person from harm. So, clawing your way through that molasses of uncommunication is really difficult. And so it's no wonder Casper has this ongoing frustration with his family, because he just wants the truth. And eventually the truth comes out. So I recommend this book. I would give it a 4 out of 5. Was it recommended for Canada Reads? It's recommended for something. It's on a long list somewhere. And I think that's the reason it got chosen for our Reading Across Canada. It was because Jolene tends to read whatever's on short lists or long lists. And I'm more like, I'll wait and see if I like the winner. I'm not curious enough to pre-read. So that's one of the reasons for reading it. I think it's a solid book. Will it win whatever it's going to win? I'm just trying to think now. Maybe it was the Giller, and it was on the list for the Giller. So if it was the Giller, it did not win, because I know that the cover was quite different for the Giller. So those are 2 books, really strong recommendations from my side. I'm in the second day of a blizzard here, and Steve has gone to the doctor's, picking up our eldest, and then he and the boys are going to be here around 1:30 or so, and they're going to play their banjos while the blizzard's howling, which is not entirely true. It's settled down. I think most of the roads have been cleared, but there's no parking, there's no sidewalks to speak of. So yeah, we're going to have banjos. So wish me luck. It echoes. All right, that's it for me. I hope all your reading dreams and adventures continue to come true, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye for now.